So we are live. So welcome to Sacred Business Stories. This is our weekly Substack Live, where really we just have an honest conversation about what it looks like to build a business that aligns with your deepest truth. And so today we are super happy to be joined by, I hope I say your name right, Letícia Tórgo. I've had a privilege of having a reading with you. I know that Carolina has as well, so it's fun in that way too. But Letícia is and I hope I get this right too, a tarot reader, a Jungian psychotherapist, and astrologer. And I know a lot of your work is around bridging symbolic language and life with your clients. And so, yeah, thank you so much for joining us here today. Happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for invitation. I'm happy to see Carol that I know for maybe from another life when we were living in Canada. But I'm glad to also to be able to follow you along your work too, and to see how it is connected to what I think it's a good way to work with people and to work in this work. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And I just like to always remind ourselves and remind you that are here watching us right now. So welcome. Why we do Sacred Business Stories. And it's really like the main intention is inspiration. So we always invite people that we believe that they have a business that they hold very close to their heart, that it is in the service of many people. And what sacred business really is like a combination of all of who you are, right? Like we have certifications and we have diplomas and we have life experience and we have victories and we also have failures. And the minute that we can get all this together and then show up in this authentic way and have a business that it's not only an expression of who you are, but also like fulfilling for yourself and support your lifestyle. That's what we call what sacred business is. So welcome everyone. We always, if you have any questions, like you just type and we do our best. I guess we're on desktop right now, so it's easier apparently to read the questions. So if you have any question to Letícia, please just type it in and we're gonna do our best to read it for her. So welcome, Letícia. I'm very excited. We met in Montreal. So yes, that was like another life. We probably met in lives before too, even before this. But I love what she does. It's the combination of many tools, but her own wisdom is very clear that, that's how she puts all those tools together and how she serves her clients. I would love to hear from you, like how you came to be. I know a little bit of your background, but sometimes like people see where you are, but they don't see your path and all the things that how you got guided to be where you are today. So if you can just take us like behind the scenes of your business and how was your path until now.
Sure. I love to think about our story because each time we tell our story, we tell it from a different point of view, depending on where we are, what's happening at the moment. But I come from a communication world. I worked as a producer, a theater producer in Brazil. I'm Brazilian. I'm Canadian, Italo-Brazilian, but I was born in Brazil, and it was there that I started all my career. And it started on communication, so theater, television, ads, and I thought this was my path until I became 40. And this is something that Jung talks a lot when you arrive in your 39, 38, 40, 41, there is some kind of crisis that arrives called metanoia. And this happened to me when I was really 40, 3 months before 40. And it was like as if the other version of me wasn't working anymore. I had a lot of success. I was already in Canada and I was working, for example, for great contracts, even Cirque du Soleil, in French and in English. I wrote pieces. I did lots of great things in communication, but there was something there saying it's not working anymore. And at that specific time, there was this course popping up about astrology. And I was like, I want to do it. I want to do it. I don't know why, but I want to do it. I knew a lot of things about astrology. I always loved astrology, but I had never done a course. And I remember that when this course appeared, there was a basic course and an advanced course. So I wrote to the teacher and I told her, I want to do both of them. And she said, no, you first need to go to the basic one and then you need to go to the advanced one. And I said, okay, if I do the basic fast, when it's going to be the advanced? And she said, it's going to be 1 year later. And I said, I can't wait 1 year. It was like a real crisis. And she said, okay, let's figure out if you can do both together. So I did the both courses together. And 6 months later, I was already having clients. And it was like this feeling that I was doing something that I did before or something that I knew. It was too easy. It was very easy and fluid. And this is something that I appreciate about my life, that it was not heavy. Even if I was in that crisis, astrology came to fulfill a piece of me that I was like missing. And then, like after astrology, I started learning lots of other things. Clients asking me new stuff, and I had all. So then came tarot, and again, okay, I'm helping people so profoundly, and also myself, because every client that comes brings us our questions and our pains and failures, that I had to go to psychology. So I went to Jung, and it was like a little bit of mixture of everything that became my business. It's been almost 6 years now. It's not a long time, but it seems like a new life, another life. And in the meantime, I also moved from Canada to Italy. So it was 3 countries, 3 careers, and it's still ongoing because I've been learning new things to maybe present to my clients in 2026. So it's more like when you listen to the messages that the universe brings to you, and you say, "Yes, let's see what's gonna happen. Let's try." It's fluid. It's more. It's like it was soft for me, and I'm happy I could receive this new version of myself, which was I would say only that the issue was to tell everybody and myself that I was not that producer anymore, that I had to change everything. And I remember that I had this newsletter on 20 like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and I told my clients from the other business, I'm changing everything. I'm moving to another career. Feel free to continue with me or to leave it if it doesn't make sense for you. And I have lots of clients from that period that are still with me today. So they saw all the evolution. They could follow me on this path. And this is something that made me feel secure about what I was doing. A little bit of a story.
Thank you. I love the way you shared, and then I think you touched in a very important thing at the end. Well, everything, but like what we see with like our clients as well. Like, and one, I think everybody goes through this 40-year crisis, right? And we kind of like either we pause to reassess and ask questions and see if like what is it like. There's a lot of transformation that happens in one lifetime, right? Like 40 years is a lot. And then it doesn't mean that like what made sense maybe 10, 20 years ago would still make sense. So just, I think life calls you to like, hey, maybe there's something else or something different, or maybe doing the same thing, but in a different way. But what I see with that is also a piece that you touched in a very beautiful way is the identity shift, right? Because that's the whole, and for you was very light and you were able to manage that. But I see with a lot of people that could be a struggle, and maybe you do see that with your clients, like they were like authority in that other life, right? The previous life, and they were known by whatever, a certain reputation that now when you step into something new, you kind of like, you think you need to begin again. It's not a completely new start, but you need to become someone different, right? Like if you're like on communication and then now you're like a therapist, there's some probably things that are like match, but there's like a lot of other things and skills and ways of being and understandings about life that were not present before that now is. So even if it was very light for you, and I'm assuming that people talk to you, your clients, about their crisis as well. Like, what would you say about this identity shift? And based on, it could be astrology or all the combinations of your wisdom.
Yeah. There is one theory that is also from Jung that says that we have personas. There are some kind of masks that we use to socialize, to be in our real life. We need these masks to protect ourselves. In astrology, we say it's the ascendant, the rising sun, the rising sign. So the way we protect ourselves from the others, the way we show ourselves to the world. And we need these masks. It's necessary to have them. But the problem is when we glue to one of them and it becomes ourselves. We think this is us. And we need to understand that it's necessary to shift between masks a long time. So there is, even on the daily quotidian, sometimes we are mother, sometimes we are friend, sometimes we are the businesswoman or the businessman. And the problem is when you choose one of them and this is what you believe is you, it's a problem. Because when you need to take it off, it's like, there is this book from Robert Fisher that says that, I don't know the name in English. It's about this armor, this guy that has this armory on himself, and he needs to save the princesses and follow the dragons and conquer castles. And he doesn't understand that a long time he's feeling the sun and then the rain and then this armor of this thing that is blocking himself. He can't do it because it was so impregnant on his body that he can't take it off. So it's more like this. If you put this on yourself and you keep it for a long, long time without moving to another thing, it's going to be a prison. So it's more like we have the possibility to learn so many things in this life. This crisis is not a problem. Crisis is an opportunity. So when you understand that and you say, okay, I'm going to grab it and figure out what I need to take off and what I need to put on that place, normally it works. It's more like I'm following the path. I'm following what I need to follow. And this makes us stronger. It's not every time easy. You need to understand how to get into the flow. But it's a mission. It becomes like there's no other way. You need to go. It's like a call. And when you receive the call, you need to answer. Yeah.
Yeah, like it makes me think of, and maybe you can share, Phil, about the workshop that we had. And it's just a funny story that we gave our first workshop in somewhere in Texas. And it was for we went to an event of entrepreneurs. And I was already more into the healing, energetic vibe, but Phil is a marketer, hardcore, if we could call it that way. And maybe you can share the story.
Yeah, no, it was just it was just a painful experience in a way, because Carolina and I had been working in this business for a while, but it was kind of like the first time we had kind of stepped out publicly and shared this message, owning it as our identity, really. And I just remember, and it was a mastermind event. It was either San Antonio or Austin, and it was a lot of other marketers and business folk that knew me in kind of the old way. And I just had so much head drama going on, because I was like, first of all, public speaking is not my, it's something I've always struggled with in general. So I already had that going for me. But then it was to get up in front of this group of peers, and now we're doing meditation, and we've got music and journaling. And I just remember thinking these people are going to think I've lost my mind. I've gone crazy here. And it was yeah, it was, and quite honestly, if I think back, you know, we were also very early in our message, and so it probably was a pretty terrible terrible presentation on top of all that. But for me, it was yeah, it was, there was a lot of drama going on in the mind about what it meant, you know, to be stepping into this new identity. But it was a really good growth experience at the same time.
But it's
Hmm.
interesting what you said about like changing your mask. You were like changing the persona in front of everybody. And I remember like I had this newsletter with lots of people. I had a website. I had a career that was already known in Brazil and in Canada. And like when I said, "Hi everybody," like now I'm a tarot reader, people were like, What are you doing with everything you conquered?" Like we don't believe, and there is also this stigma about like working in spirituality. Like some people believe, others don't, and so you're gonna put yourself in this place where it's not safe, where you don't feel at the beginning safe about what you are doing, what you're choosing. But when you are like I was so secure about what was coming, and I think you did it too. Like when Phil said,
Hmm.
people were thinking I was crazy, but you were not thinking you were crazy. And this is what makes you like be at that place, even if it's uncomfortable. At the beginning, it's uncomfortable, but then you say, "Oh, I'm so happy that I did it because why would I still be there at that place that doesn't fit? I don't fit there anymore." So it's this
Hmm.
evolution that comes.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think that's a perfect point to ask you. Like, one of the questions we like to ask, and one of the things we like to convey to our audience is that, like, it's perfectly normal to have fear and resistance coming up, especially when you're doing the things that are moving forward that are so close to your heart and are connected to this meaningful work. And, you know, I feel like the closer you are to that bullseye, uh, for many people, it feels like the stakes are higher. And so I'm curious for you. I don't know, you know, you kind of described your experience as this easier transition, but have there been places in your journey where kind of these things of fear of resistance have shown up in any way? And when you do see those things rear their, when you do catch that in yourself, how do you work with that to keep moving forward? I'm wondering if there might be anything that would be valuable for people to hear there.
Yeah, now it's easy because I have the theory to help me. But at the beginning, you don't have this theory, like this psychological theory. But I would say that the first client is always like, you don't know if you're going to be great for that person the way you want to be. You try to do your best, but you don't know how it's going to work. And I work online, so you are working with a screen every time with a screen. So sometimes people don't show their emotions. And I remember one guy that I was like, his wife gave him the consultation, and he was like always serious for 1 hour and a half. And I was reading his mess, and it was like, every time I get out from the office, my husband, he's always a businessman and he works for himself as a consultant. So he always asked me, "How was it?" And I said, "I think it was terrible. It was like," he did not react. And I was like, "I don't know if I did my work well." And when I send the reading the day after, I normally ask, "Please, it's a message. It's already done. Please tell me, how did you feel? If you want to make a testimonial, feel free to send me a message." And he sent me a huge email. And I was like, "Oh my God. I didn't know that. I didn't see that on." He was serious because he was just listening. He was present there. But I was like, "Oh, it was not good." So sometimes when you start a new business and you need to deal with clients, you don't know if you're ready. And I always say that I have a channel on YouTube about tarot reading, like where I teach people to read tarot for themselves. And I say, angels are not going to come and say, "Now you are ready and let's do it." Never. It's not going to happen. And talking about fear, when there is fear, there is something. And what I've learned about fear is that first, there is this place where we are comfortable. Even when it's uncomfortable, we're here. Here is safe because we know how it is. And where we want to go, it's the place where we have our dreams, our like the things we want to do in this place. And this part is here, which is called the zone croissance. Please help me with the French, because French always comes before English.
Croissants, like growing?
Yes,
Growing some?
The place where you are growing. But to get out from the comfort zone to the growing zone, you have two other zones. The first one, the zone of fear, and the second one, the zone of learning. So you can't get there without crossing fear. And I say it's like a castle. And here there is this place full of water and crocodiles, and every fear that we put there, we put fear there. And when you cross that place, you're learning. And then you are having your life, the life of your dreams. And it works for everything. When we change countries, when we make new friends, when we learn a new language, comfort, fear, learning, growth. And when you learn that, you say, "Oh my God, I'm fearful now, so it means I'm on the good path," and it makes a lot of difference in ourselves. Yeah, it's not easy. We still have this feeling, but you need to confront that.
Yeah, I love the way you explain it. It's very clear, and like there's no way you can get there without crossing the fear, right? Like Josh is listening and he's like, more fear and learning, please sign me up. Because that's something that I learned over the years as well, that we kind of like, if fear is present, like I can't ignore. Like not necessarily I will always follow, because sometimes not now, but I know it's something that I need to face, and it's something that I need to I need to jump in this river and swim.
And normally fear is something like to protect ourselves from dying. And this is from the past, but now our fear changed, and we don't. It's not always fear. We call it fear, but it's not really fear, because we're not gonna die if we go to an interview. If we open an Instagram, if we say the agenda is open, but we feel like fear. This is the word we chose. So if we change the word, maybe it's gonna be easier. Maybe sometimes. Yeah.
That's a great tip. Yeah. Like what other words excitement, right? Like sometimes, I'm excited that I'm going into this interview, and then you're like freaking out inside, but just because now you're calling excitement, maybe like you can move easily through the resistance. Yeah.
Yeah, I've mentioned it multiple times. I tend to repeat myself in these interviews, but like whenever, like the way I relate to what you just said there is, I got to a place where I could kind of reframe the that fear feeling, which I get here in my chest or solar plexus, is kind of like a tickle. And I like to think of it as like a little tickle from God, but there's like in that movement, there's like a forward motion. It's kind of like go, 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 and like when I started to experience it that way, and to think of it that way, there was some freedom in that of like being able to move forward. And so, yeah, I've gotten to a point very similar to the way Carolina described it, where when I feel that feeling, it's kind of like, let's go. Like there's a joy to it in a way. And it feels strange because it's not that it's not still there, but it's just a different way of relating to it. And so, yeah, I really, it makes sense to me the way you described it.
I would feel like butterflies. They're coming there. There's something strange inside myself. So, and there is one moment when you get used to it, and then it becomes vicious. You say, look, more fear, more challenges. What can I have more, like more and more and more, and then it becomes comfortable, even if it's not comfortable. So it's like a pendulum that you go and come back. Okay, again, let's go again. Oh, let's come back. And it makes you resistant to lots of things. And I would say like being an immigrant is something connected to being a businesswoman or a businessman. Like you are completely out of your comfort zone. And then you learn how to get this force to accomplish anything. And it becomes easier along time.
Over time. Yeah, it's kind of like like as you were sharing, like it came like a roller coaster image for me. Like you know that you're going up, and then you're like, oh, and now you know you're going down, and then but then you kind of like know that after going up there is a going down, and after going down there is a moment of like, or going up there's a moment of like more stability and calmness and all of that, and then you're like, yay, going up again, and oh, but then it's not that like you don't freeze, like you don't push the brakes and like, I want to stop my car, right? Now you just kind of like go with the motion.
And sometimes you just need to ask yourself, what's the worst thing that is going to happen if I do it? And normally the answer is not really what we were thinking about, these monsters that we create.
Yeah.
Mhm. So Letitia, and if I heard you right, most of your business is virtual online. That's correct. Yeah, and it's been like that since really since day one. Is that true? Yeah. So I'm curious. I'm curious to ask you about this idea of connection. So one of the things I've also noticed that, and it was like this for me at the beginning too, that one of the big challenges creators can kind of face when they come online is, how do I kind of create meaningful, authentic connections while I share my message online? And for some people, I think that comes more natural than to others. But I would love to hear your approach to connection and kind of, and I know you're here on Substack. I know this is also your first live, but I'm sure you have your ways of connecting. And what advice might you give to someone who's trying to share what they have in their heart, more consistently and from a place of connection?
I did a lot of mistakes in this area. And even before I worked online, when I moved from Brazil to Canada, I had to get into the business to an online business too. I had a company in Brazil to help artists to create their projects. And I had to go online. And at that time, long time ago, there was no Zoom, there was no WhatsApp, there was no Instagram, nothing. But working online was growing. It was the big wave in 2015. So I got into this big wave, but I at that moment it was very easy, and now it's a little bit it's challenging because there are lots of different influences and information, and you never know if you're doing right. And one of the biggest things that I've learned on this path is, the more you are yourself, the better. First, because it's not going to hurt you, and then because it's going to be real. And so sometimes you listen to people saying, you need to do that, you should do this. And you say, I don't want to do it. It's not going to work for me. It's not the way I feel my business. And I think it's more like the way you help people, like showing themselves how to be themselves. So this is something that I've learned, and it was difficult. So I do what I want the way I want. For sure, I know I need to show myself so that I can have more clients. But I love writing, so I have two subsets: one about tarot and psychology, and the other one only for astrology. And I have two YouTube channels, one only for tarot and the other one which is a mix of everything that I like. But the thing is, for example, I read the famous book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. And this is one of the momentum that I had in my business, because people come to me because of this book. So I read all the book, and I did 15 videos from each chapter of the book. It took me more than 1 year to do it. And this is what brings me clients today, one of the things. And now I have just started a new series about Paulo Coelho, this Brazilian writer. So I read his books when I was 15, and I was curious to understand why I read these books that are spiritual and mystical and religion and philosophy, everything is there. Why did I read that when I was 15? So I was curious to read about it. And then I said, why not making a new series about this book? So doing what I want, connected to the clients I want to find, is the best suggestion I could make for everybody. And being yourself, like today we have lots of influences about artificial intelligence. And I understood that making mistakes live is a quality, is becoming a quality. So for example, I'm in Italy, so there is a lot of humors and noises that come from the city. Sometimes there is this uh, um, person who comes to get all the wine bottles, and when you were live or when you were like making your video, and imagine 100 bottles coming down in this person's car, and I understood, should I edit it or should I make some reference to what is happening and put a flag about I'm in Italy, this is what happens here. So I'm learning to be more vulnerable at this moment because everything is so the same. You see, everything is the same. So the more you are different, and when I say different, I say the more you are yourself. And this is astrology. I read so many maps, and even, for example, reading a map from twins that were born like with 2 minutes difference between one and the other, and you say they are very different, only 2 minutes. It's like small differences in the map, but they are very different in the map and in their lives. So why can't we profit about these things that are particularly from us and put this in our business? This is our signature. And people are coming because we are showing ourselves. And this is also something like if people don't come, it's because you don't need them and they don't need you. And it's fine. Thank you. So when people unfollow you, thank you. I'm not for you and you're not for me. Great. I'm not like in this place of numbers anymore. And this makes me feel lighter in my business.
I really resonate and love everything that you shared there. And I mean, it's part of actually why, I mean, there were several things there, but it's part of why we love this format so much because this is just, and in fact, until just maybe a couple weeks ago, you had to do it on your phone. And I know you're on your phone, Letícia, but it just felt so like organic and old school and like almost like a throwback to the old internet and, where everything is so polished and perfect and scripted. And then just to get onto this like little box and the audio is not perfect. And it's funny, we had a guest who's a pretty well-known person. His name's Derek Sivers. He's a pretty well-known author. And it's funny, when we approached him to come onto the show, he was just like, he agreed, which I was just blown away. It was awesome that we were able to get him. But he was just like, are you really sure you want me to do it here on Substack? Because like I've got this like professional podcast studio in my house and we could do something really awesome. I was like, no, we want to get you here. The irony to that story is that he's a very private, he lives a very simple private life and he had no desire to be on Substack. And he got off the interview with us and he deleted the Substack app before we could actually save the recording. And I didn't know it would work this way. But like, for example, because you're the collaborator here, if you got off this thing and deleted your Substack account, the recording went with it. And so it's just so now it's just it's a mythology in a sense. But anyway, really the point there is I just love this kind of unscripted way that just, we're going to bumble with our words. I know I already have here today, but there's a realness to it. And then the other piece that I love that you said is I've actually taught that, and it's kind of connected. It's almost like that fear thing, that reframing. Like when people unsubscribe from our list, I feel the same way as you. It's kind of like a thank you and I bless you because it's just us getting closer and closer to knowing we're connecting with the people who really hear what we want to share. And also for those people, there's so much noise. Like if what we're sharing with them is not resonating, please like go find the voices and the influences that do support where you're at, because this is like one of the most important things right now is to protect your focus. And so, yeah, I just really loved everything that you had to say there.
Yeah, and then when actually this thing happened with Derek Sivers, then we were kind of like, what do we do now? Like we could just pretend that it never happened, and we're like, no, let's make it funny, right? So then we posted as if we were posting the recording, and we're like, hey, it's fucked up. Like, we don't have the interview. You can believe or not, but
Hope you were there live. If you were there live, it was a beautiful opportunity. But otherwise, it's gone. So it's funny, if you go to our series list of all these interviews we've done, it's there like as an episode, but you get in there and it's actually just us telling the story of this kind of crazy instance.
Yeah, and I think there's everything that you shared, like there's like a lot of gold in it. And I really hope that, if there's people like trying to create something that's really authentic there, that they can feel the truth in that, because that's how how magnetism works, right? And that's like how you could truly connect with people. It's like being who you are. So sometimes like, and we see this with people all the time, that like business is taken so serious and it's so rigid and you need to get it right. And then it's almost like painful. Like, like it has to be the right words and the message. And yes, like you do need to have a structure, like kind of what you said, like I love reading and I love this book, and how can I connect with the people that I want to serve? So this is wisdom right there. Like you're doing something that you love, but you have very clear like where you're going and also like who you want to help, right? You're not just doing it randomly, but then, oh, I had this idea and maybe it looks like disconnected, but at the end of the day, it's not disconnected at all. And then you get like a lot of your clients just from taking that, which is not a marketing strategy per se, right? Reading a book and then comment. No, it's doing something from your heart, but with the clarity of like, I have people that I serve and this is my message and how I communicate. So yeah, it's really powerful. And sometimes we struggle to just be natural, right? Like to just like come up with ideas and like, no, and then you don't do it. Because Josh is here and he just posted something that I read, and he's like, I just had this spark of inspiration that I would do a meetup in person for like sober creatives, and he just did the group. I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Just, you have a spark of inspiration and then you take action and you don't know where it's leading you and it doesn't matter, but you're having fun with that. Like that's essential, in my opinion.
Well, I know we're kind of coming up on time pretty soon, but I have to ask, just because of who you are, and we're kind of getting to the end of the year here, and everybody, especially at least in our world, is everybody's thinking about what comes next and what sort of structures do they need to support their new year and things like this. So I'm curious if there's any guidance, something short that you could leave us with that might be more universal for people in our world.
So there is a video I did on the last day of last year, on the 31st of December 2024. And I was saying, nothing's going to change on the first day of January. Nothing's going to change. Like, it's just, but there is something important about it. It's a ritual. And we need more rituals in our lives. Routine is a ritual. So you can make rituals on your business. So just giving a hint about what we can do, like connected to your work. But talking about the future, what I've been talking more today is the present, which is amazing as a world because it's already a present. So we are so connected to the future that our society is becoming more anxious when we don't see the present. And today on Instagram, I wrote this phrase in Portuguese because my Instagram is in Portuguese. I think they can translate right now, but anyway. I was saying that if you're not seeing beauty on your day, it's because you were walking too fast. So I would say that the advice for 2026 is walk slower, see the moment, appreciate what you're doing, don't run, and be present. And like we can see lots of things in astrology and in tarot, and I can help everybody who wants that. But I've been more connected to astrology and tarot reading with therapy, which means how do you feel? How are you feeling today? How was your week? What are you struggling with? And how can I help you? Or how can you help yourself? Asking the right questions. So it's not really an advice from the stars or from the card, but it's more like an advice that I would love to receive at this moment of the year.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And then the last thing is, we always like to just give an opportunity. I know you have 2 YouTubes, 2 Substacks, but if anyone has heard something that they've connected with and they are curious, we'll make sure all those links are in the show notes. But is there any one specific action you might suggest they check out, or what would you suggest?
So my name, Letícia Tórgo. you go on Google and Google does the work. So I have Instagram. There is this Pixie Arcana, which is the channel, the YouTube channel for tarot. Everything is free. I love my YouTube channels. But I also love Substack and writing. But it's like just look for my name and you can see what I offer and see what resonates with everybody here. And also that I give all my consultations in Portuguese, in English, in French, and in Italian. So if you know somebody who needs me, I'm here. Even to give presents, if you want to give a present for somebody, a gift for Christmas, you can give a reading for somebody, and it's going to be a great, better than something an object, something that can transform.
Yeah, like I just want to say that I love your work, and I've done astrological readings and I've done the tarot readings, and I gifted Phil one session too.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Right. Yeah. And so yeah, if you're like listening to us here, or if you're like listening to the recording, like I just feel that the way you give guidance, it's always inviting to go inside in very like beautiful and opening ways. So I'm a fan. I truly recommend your work. And yes, like Italian, French, what else? Like maybe Japanese soon. Speaking out the language.
Next one is going to be Greek. Yes.
Oh, are you moving to Greece?
Not yet. No, not yet. When in my 80s, maybe. I still have time in Italy.
That's very good. Yes. Well, thank you so much for accepting the invitation, for participating. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you. It was good to see you.
I'm happy to be with you both. I love your work too. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you, Letícia. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.